I'm Pio. I'm here with my partner Malachi. What's going on, Mal?
What's up, Pio? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's unfortunate that we're gathering here this morning to talk about the subject that we are, which is the recent controversy with the FameLadySquad NFT project, a project that I once was an owner of, but I did get out of it. And yeah, I mean, do you want to give a little context, a little background, and then maybe I can fill in any gaps afterwards?
Yeah, sorry, I was just posting some links to this on Twitter. We're doing
Of
it
course.
live.
We're doing it live.
Hold on. Let me
Okay,
just.
I'll talk about it. It's all good. So
All
so
right.
check it out. So this project boasted, like, the whole claim to fame of the Fame Lady Squad project was that it was the first project, the first generative art, X number. I think it's 8,888. So for simplicity's sake, let's just call it the first 10K generative art avatar project. And the whole claim to fame is that it's the first one with an all-female founding squad. Okay. The way they told people this was just on their website. They had like four of these fame ladies, and and then just anon names. So it's an anon squad. Okay. Gary V did express interest in this project. That led to an initial pump. It never really caught that much steam, though. I think the peak, like the absolute height of the project, was like zero point 0.2 ETH or 0.22 ETH floor. But there were definitely some very rare sales, like 1 ETH or above sales for rare ladies. And now, what a surprise! It turns out that this project and another project, Mal, do you know the name of the other project?
Yeah, there's been a few projects, and this is actually a really tough one for me because I want to allegedly, this is all alleged, and so unless the team comes out, we're gonna have issues. But unfortunately, there has been some doxing, and so I want to like err on the side of caution with people. So if they do go and look this up on Twitter, and the person who did the analysis is fantastic, and so I don't want to take away from them. It's pretty easy to find, but I don't want to be the one to necessarily do it because this person was doxxed with it. But I mean, the projects that have gone through this are insane. From NFT hustlers to NFT idols to crypto unicorns hashtag BSC to Fame Lady Squad to Queenship, the other
Yeah,
project that
that's the one. Yeah, so
last night. Yeah,
Queenship apparently is the same people as Fame Lady Squad. Apparently, this is all alleged, sure,
all of
but
those are.
all of them.
All
So
of
so
them that
the
I just named are all the same people.
okay, wow, I
Yeah,
didn't even know that.
I
That's
wasn't just
okay.
naming projects. This is in our
Oh,
Nifty calendar on Discord. Follow us on Discord. Um, yeah, no, this is a bunch of people like that are together doing a lot of these projects. And
and they're
so
dudes. Allegedly, they're dudes, right?
allegedly, and once again, so there's this person that was doing some research, and last night they launched that they have enough proof to state that the Fame Lady Swag was created by three males who also were behind a whole bunch of other abandoned projects. We've seen this before where multiple projects will launch on a daily basis, and for them, they're not trying to sell out 10,000 projects. They're trying to sell a few hundred here, a few hundred there, early speculators. And if you're buying them at 0.03 to 0.1 and you're buying, every 5 projects a week, they're making a ton of ETH very inexpensively. And so it goes back to April, and I do feel out of obligation because I am reading from this person. The Twitter person is Fedor Linick. I will give it to PO once again. This is all alleged, so
Ping
I
it to
don't.
me. I'm gonna pull it out up on stream.
I'd prefer you didn't because I don't want to dox the person on stream. But
Oh, okay.
if anyone wants to go and do the investigation, they can. And this is all alleged. This is my big concern is that, but there's pretty strong preponderance of evidence. And so in April, this all started coming into view. They were able to start seeing some of the stuff between cross promotion between projects. Some of this started coming to light. And so basically, this sleuth went through and looked at like the entire historic record of who's liking what, who's participating in each other's Discord. So if you do want to go and look at the next level of these challenges, I encourage you to go check out the Federlinic Sophisticated. I was just seeing that. Yeah. And so like the bigger issue here is like, how do we make this happen less frequently? And coincidentally, our business partner, Mike, wrote a stance on NFTs and anonymity not too long ago, and what our stance is around that. And so the big concern that we have, oh my gosh, Sass. The big thing is
I
like,
just sent him the link. I hope he comes on.
where do we? Yeah, you guys can go long. I'm gonna have to hop off if Sass, not because Sass comes on, but because I have a hard stop. But when you think about like what are the issues with anonymity, is like who has a right to be anonymous in this current state? And so we really focus in on positive examples of anonymity around the end users, et cetera. Pseudonymous. I can't even talk this morning, but like people like Xcopy who are established, who've earned that right. And then when should anonymity like be avoided? And these are the types of projects that we run into a lot of these challenges where it's very easy to say like, oh, I'm 3 women, or I'm 12 or 4 or whoever. And this is one of the reasons that the Top Dog project really resonated with us in particular, is because they were willing to come out. Oh my gosh, he's here.
And he brought his mustache. Let's go.
What's up, baby?
We're still doing that Crypto Raiders stream later.
Hell yeah, we are.
Yo, so Nick, what do you think of? So first of all, before I even throw to Nick, let me just quickly say, and I know Malachi is being very political, diplomatic, I should say, and I appreciate that, Malachi. But this is just like straight up rug pull, right? We got like some alleged Russian dudes making like 10 projects, selling them out, saying that they're women. The whole thesis of the project is that they're women. It's just a straight up rug pull. But what do you think, Nick? What are your thoughts?
Well, the reason why a Russian team has to go anonymous is because no one would buy if they knew they were Russians, because Russians are known scammers.
Jesus.
Just kidding, partially. But
Nick is a guest of the show.
I'm totally kidding. Russians are very clean cut people. They never hack. They never do any fraud, anything like that.
You've been listening to too much Tim Dillon.
No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously though, Hash Demons, Russian dev, he just disappeared. I'm absolutely kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. I have full respect. Russians are. I mean, look, Ethereum was made by a Russian. Obviously, Ethereum was made by a Russian. I'm obviously joking, but I knew something like this was going to happen, and I pointed out, like a month or two ago, that there's shady shit that goes on in the NFT space. And it's just in what I was sharing when I made this post is that everything's traced on the blockchain. And look what this guy did. This guy did an investigative thing where he saw all the money was getting connected to similar wallets. And there was like these telltale signs on the internet. There's footprints that just you can't avoid. I'm honestly not surprised. I mean, here's the thing. A digital art chick made a post today, and this is what I agree with, which is that inherently there's not a problem with an anonymous team. However, and if anonymous team is making a claim about their identities, then they cannot be anonymous, or they can be anonymous, but then there should be real concerns about supporting them. So if you're saying, hey, we're a all women's team, but we're anonymous, there's no way to prove that you're women. So then there's a huge issue with that. I mean, I got some crap for being skeptical about the 12-year-old kid that made the Weird Whales project, but it's the same kind of thing, right? Which is like, if you're making a claim about your identity, and that identity is supposed to be a part of the reason why the project is going to be successful, you got to have some proof. So if you're a 12-year-old kid hacker dev, and that's the reason why people are buying in, we need to know that you're the actual 12-year-old kid. Because you know what I thought immediately in my head? I thought not necessarily Russians, but some sort of dev team was behind it, and just like, because it's so easy to fake a personality online, like the this guy said you put a course together on how to pull off jokes properly. Only 1,000 ETH. Please DM me. Yes, I'll have to see your credentials, but I do need some help. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, I think that Digital Art Chick nailed it with her statement, which was that there's inherently no problem to be anonymous. However, if anyone's buying an anonymous project, you have to understand that there's an inherently higher risk. The Crypto Raiders team is anonymous. That was a big part of the early FUD, and it was justifiable. And that's why some people didn't buy early on. But now they've proved themselves by shipping that they're the real thing. Now no one cares who they are, right? They also didn't make a sort of claim that they were someone or that they were something. Or they didn't say, hey, we're this super famous team of developers, but we're not. They never made any sort of claim. So Digital Art Chick said, hey, if someone's going to make a claim saying, hey, we're a team of women or we're a team of, any sort of minority or something like that, if you're making that the core of what your team is, you can't do that and be anonymous because it could be a complete scam.
It's so ridiculous. Like if the whole thesis of the project is something and then you're like, but we can't prove that. That's ridiculous. Like if I go and make an anonymous project and I'm like, this is sophisticated art speculator's project.
Yeah.
He founded it, but this is my anonymous alter ego.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
And they would immediately go to me and try to confirm it, right? But with these other projects, you can't confirm it at all. So you can be anonymous, that's fine, but then you can't make an identity claim. You can do whatever you want online. But people should be really skeptical about that. You know what I mean? So I made a joke earlier, but it's like, it would be like saying like, hey, I'm a school teacher and I teach 3rd grade, and all of the 3rd grade students, they hand drew these awesome little art pieces, and we're going to make an NFT project. Please come and buy. But we're completely anonymous. You have no idea where we go to school or anything like that. It's probably the same people behind FameLadySquad. If you see something like that pop up on your radar. You know,
where are those people from, Nick?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like,
well,
are the kids okay?
You're gonna say Russia again?
Anywhere. No, they could be from anywhere, guys. All right. So, there is
making Malachi uncomfortable.
No, there is a preponderance of evidence, but there's also going to be. Here's the thing: there's also going to be
because they could not be Russian; they could be Ukrainian. Like, let's be honest, right?
They could. Oh my gosh, dude. They could also be in the United States. There's just as many. There's just as many scammers in the United States that are.
There is.
These types of, like.
Oh, for sure.
Like
they're just not as good. This is out of respect. This is out of respect. Russians are the top of the. They're the top of the list.
I gotta go because I always had a hard stop. It's not because of the topic of this conversation. Sass, I love you. Pio, you're awesome. I'll be back.
Where's Danny? We need to get Danny in on his.
We're gonna go live on Crypto Raiders and that utility if they don't get hacked because of your antics before later today. I'm gonna be out of my Raider coin. I'll see y'all later.
See you, man.
Later, Mal.
Malachi's distancing himself from us, but I think that so people were like hitting me up on Twitter about this, and I could tell people were definitely like really upset about the situation. And my thought is, obviously, it absolutely sucks to get straight up rug pulled. You have to keep in mind you are speculating on JPEG images, and so you can't have like all the expectations in the world, especially if there's an anonymous squad, right? It's one thing if it's like sophisticated art speculators project and you made a bunch of claims as a non-anon person and then you don't deliver on those claims. That's one thing, but like you kind of signed up for this a little bit, right? And I bought this project, I sold it. I think I broke even on it. It is what it is, but those are my thoughts. And so I'm actually glad that you're here because I was going to go into this, but obviously you're way better at this than me. And I wanted to kind of walk people through just some basic stuff that they can do to evaluate a project on whether or not it's something that's worth just speculating on, right? It's not like worth being an investment, but just even speculating on.
Well, and I get why people are hurt by this because this hurts more than just a normal rug pull because people wanted to believe in something special.
Yeah.
That's what really hurts. Right? Like you can get rug pulled on a project and it's like, oh, well, lost all our money. But like if you believe in a project and that you were like helping the space become more inclusive, you know what I mean? And then you find out it's all a scam, that stings. That definitely,
it's like a good cause. It's supposed to be a good cause,
Exactly. It's supposed to be a good cause. Now, guess what? Jose just said FLS needs to be taken over by ladies in the NFT community. What I would say is this is actually an awesome opportunity for some non-anonymous women to do an NFT project, right?
Yep.
Right? Or any sort, like, get a non-anonymous woman project would kill it right now, because it could be like, hey, people want to support making the NFT and the broader community more inclusive, and we can actually prove that they're real this time. You know what I mean? And then people would really want to get behind that and support that. But for me, in order to like vet a project or something like that, like, I personally don't care if someone's anonymous or not anonymous, because I believe people that are non-anonymous could rug me. And I also believe that people can fake an identity. They can say that it's like, I don't have the bandwidth to vet someone else out, to the depth of, like, if they're super well known, then, like, if Cole Therum's behind a project, Cole Therum, you know what I mean? But like, if it's Bob Smith from Arkansas, like, how do I really vet that out, right? So like with anything, you kind of have to go in with some sort of like risk management and understanding that you don't know at the end of the day. You don't know, and that's why I just prefer to buy projects solely based on the project itself. Right? So like, even if it's a non-anonymous team, would I buy this project if it was an anonymous team? You know what I mean? Like, if I like a project, I should want to buy it, regardless. I think the tricky situation is if people are making some sort of claims and want to be anonymous, then I think that's a red flag. That's a red flag. If you want to say that you're this traveling band of musicians and this is your first collaborative project, that's great. Then you can't be anonymous. You got to tell us what traveling band of musicians you are. And if you want to stay anonymous, then don't say you're traveling band of musicians, because then that doesn't matter. You're anonymous, right?
Straight up, man. Straight up. And so I want to call it one thing. So Juan, thank you for your support, man. You asked about, advice. Right now we're going to talk about evaluating projects, but I sent the Discord link to you. Get in our Discord, ping me on there, ping Malachi there, and we will definitely like kind of coach you through some stuff. And that's generally the best way to kind of get involved, but appreciate your support and hope you're enjoying the content. So yeah, so Nick, like, I want to take you through something right here, right? So this is a project that I bought into recently, the Satoshi Bulls project. And the way I kind of looked at it is I thought the art was pretty funny. These are all derivatives from the picture of Satoshi Nakamoto. So I just thought like pretty funny, right? This is like, like relatively funny. So I'm like, all right, cool. It's funny. Let me learn a little bit more about it. So I go to the Satoshi Bulls page and I find the website. That where is the website here? So basically the big thing for me was I was like, this better not have an Anon squad. And again, I'm not trying to put down Anon squads, but I'm not a huge fan of getting in on Anon projects. So I looked down and we got a roadmap. It's like a legit actual roadmap, and we can go into that a little bit. But this was the biggest thing. This was the biggest thing for me is I scrolled down and I see actual human beings that are in charge of this project. And I clicked right here and I went to this person's Twitter. I actually think, his Instagram was what was more relevant to me. So I go to the artist's Instagram, right? And I see that he's been making art like outside of NFTs, outside of the Satoshi Bulls thing. He's got almost 3,000 followers. He's been cranking out art consistently. And I just keep scrolling down and I look at the dates on how
and you can see that like the style kind of matches the style of the NFT project as well.
Yep. And it's good stuff. I was like, okay, so it's like a legit artist who's making this. His first post was in late 2019, right? No NFT related.
Not July 2021, which you see a lot of,
Exactly.
Yeah, you see the July 2021, you're like, okay, interesting. Like if you're February, March, April, you know what I mean? But like anything that's like a month old, you kind of have a question mark on. But yeah, so I like that. But like, here's the thing. So we know that they're real people. That's not going to define the success or the lack of the success of a project. Because let's be honest, here's the thing. Profile pic projects, unless it's like unless it's this like rug that happened where people are like lying about the identity of the company, and then that gets revealed and that gets like pulled out. Basically, my point is that it doesn't really matter for a profile project if they're anonymous or not, as long as they launch successfully, get everyone their art, right? Because the roadmaps for profile pick projects for me are kind of like, what are you going to buy some sandbox land? You're going to do an airdrop. You know what I mean?
Donate to a charity.
You're gonna donate to a charity. Like, it's the same kind of like play, and I don't think any of those things really affect, like, in a massive way, the value of the project. Like, if Pudgy Penguins was completely anonymous, would it make Pudgy Penguins better or like worse? I think Pudgy Penguins is working because of the community, because of the people that bought into it. They're the ones that is making it a success. Where I think that understanding the identity, or at least having some evidence that they are executing, where that matters, and where I think NFTs are heading, is when we get into games, when we get into utilities. Because if you're buying, and that's the thing, like when you bought into Crypto Raiders, you're buying into Crypto Raiders to play a game, right? So that's where your risk of getting rugged is way higher, because then they can raise a bunch of money and then not actually build the game, and then your thing's actually worthless. Whereas with like a profile pick project, you're buying the picture. So like, even if there's not this big expectation or need for development after the fact. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And so like this is what we're talking about. People say utility, utility, utility. The reason that they say it is because NFTs are actually going to provide real massive utility to humans, because all
Yeah.
NFT is it's like blockchain is all it really is. So
Hmm.
blockchain is going to disrupt absolutely everything. So the Crypto Raiders example is a great example because it's based on a game. So if that game is really good and the NFTs that you own have real utility in that game that people want to play just because the game is really fun, then holy shit, there's going to be a lot of value in those NFTs. The whole value of
Exactly.
like the value of the FameLadySquad NFT, for example, was that you could join a club, basically, right? A club of people that have the FameLadySquad NFT as their profile picture, and that club gains enough prestige, for lack of a better term. Like
Yep.
CryptoPunks have so much prestige that people are going to want to be in that club so bad that they'll pay a premium for it, and thus your JPEG images that let you be in that club go up in value. That's the whole thesis of FameLadySquad. It's not the same thing as, for example, a game that's being built out like Crypto Raiders.
Yeah, and I mean, one that I bought into yesterday was these like Osiris Cosmic Kids.
Yeah, I saw
And
those.
yeah, now I'm just realizing, like, I actually never even looked to see anything about the team, and honestly, they don't have anything about the team even on their website. So not only are they anonymous, they're anonymous without even anonymous identities. They're super anonymous. They don't even tell you how many people are on the team. Yeah, it's Osiris Cosmic Kids.
How do I
Um,
spell it? Cyrus, like
yeah, Osiris. Here, yeah, and then Cosmic Kids.
which one? Look, we already got fakes out
Yeah,
here.
I think it's the top.
Okay. So, and that's the thing too, is like you have to keep in mind, if people are going anonymous, then that's also maybe a way for them to protect themselves in case the project absolutely sucks. And then, they protect their reputation because they can just create another bullshit anonymous reputation or just never disclose their actual reputation. And when you look at these guys that were doing FameLadySquad, they were just knocking out these projects. And I don't know if all of them sold out, but FameLadySquad sold out, and there was a ton of secondary volume as well. So it's almost like they were getting better at just coming up with what can we do to sell out. And
Yeah,
selling out one of these projects generates like, seven figures a lot of
it's
times. I think
crazy.
it's crazy. So there's so much money on the line. People are going to figure out like, hey, wait a minute, we can do this. And yes, it's a scam, but it's not the same thing as like stealing somebody's credit card information. Like, you sold the JPEG, you misrepresented yourself, but a lot of people also made money off of FameLadySquad on the secondary
A
market.
ton
So
of
that's
money.
something to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, just an interesting kind of like thought process is, if we never found out that, and is like FameLadySquad confirmed, or is it just like that queenship thing? I don't really know. I don't have the full details, but like, the interesting thing is that if we never found out, would it have mattered? You know what I'm saying? Right? Like if we had never found out, would it have impacted the project? No. And so that's like an interesting thing to think about is that if you, yeah, this is where they have no details on their website. It's funny. I bought into this just because, you know, I like crypto raiders and I was thinking like, oh, it's like the same kind of like metaverse kind of gameplay idea. They had like a pretty cool preview video right there, like the people running around, and it was super cheap. So I yeah,
You speculated on it.
speculated
You
on.
speculated.
Yeah, and that's the other thing for people to know too is that like when I'm betting on a lot of these things, I'm not betting the house on them. You know what I mean? Like if you have one Ethereum and you're throwing your entire one Ethereum into just a random speculative project, yeah, if you bet on Pudgy Penguins, then you're hella rich if you held all the way through. But we have a winner's bias in the market. You know what I mean? You hear about the winners, you don't really hear about the 8 other losers. So yeah, when I'm saying like I'm buying like my Osiris bet was completely speculative. It was a fraction of it was a fraction of the you know my overall budget for NFTs. But yeah, I mean this this whole thing kind of stinks. It's a little bit of a stain on the market, but honestly, I think that it's probably net overall a good thing, right? Because like for the community to grow and for the community to get smarter, we need things like this to happen. You know what I mean? What would have been worse is if we didn't find out and these guys launched 10 other projects and then we found out 10 projects later. I mean, here's the thing. I can guarantee you they're not done. They've made millions.
Exactly. They can just do it again.
They're going to do it again. They're going to find they're probably listening right now. They're going to take my elementary school kid idea and they're going to be the class teacher, you know? No, but in all seriousness, I mean, they'll probably be back cuz at the end of the day like I bought like the Sad Frog District project. Like I don't know anything about that team. Are they anonymous? Are they not anonymous? Like overall, I don't think it's a stain on the overall NFT community, but it is going to make it harder to be anonymous for sure. Any new anonymous project is going to get so much more FUD over at least the next couple of weeks. Understandably so.
It gives the market more expectations. Right. Now, the market has an expectation of you potentially not being anonymous, or if you are anonymous, they want to understand why. And so, like, I'm kind of hard on anonymous founders. Like, we've had anonymous folks on to promote their, their projects.
Yeah, like Bonsai's was anonymous. Did they come on your show or no? I'm not sure.
They didn't come on.
They did a video. They did a podcast and they used like a voice modulator and it was kind of creepy and weird. It was funny. I remember hearing about that and they're like, sorry, we probably shouldn't have used the voice modulator. Like,
and my thing is like, so why, dude? Like, why? The Bonsai is a cool project. Like, why is it so important for you to be anon? And like, I get it, the crypto thing, and I get it, and this, that, and the other thing, but it is still a little bit harder. And so if you want an example of 180 degrees in the opposite direction, right? Top Dog Beach Club, it took them a while to sell out. So it's like, that's usually not a good sign. They eventually, were able to get enough steam to sell out. And then even the secondary market, dip below drop price, but slowly and steadily, I think the floor is at either 0.09 or 0.1 at this point, which is above drop price. And it's just continuing to roll. And there's like a dedicated fan base for that project. And so, you can do it the right way too. And it's so much easier to kind of trust Top Dog Beach Club than someone that's going to be 100% anon. I don't know. It's a tough one, and anon isn't going anywhere. But like you said, like the market is going to react with higher expectations for projects as a result of controversies like this, and there will be more controversies. You can bet on that.
Very much so. And I mean, I think that the anon thing kind of comes from the general like crypto community, where like more people have wanted to be anon in that space. I think that anon will always be a thing, but I think it. As the market becomes more mainstream, you're going to see more of the most successful projects be non-anon. That's what I would imagine. And I would also imagine that probably anon projects that start anon and become really successful, you'll probably see the people maybe unmask themselves in order to like, continue to grow and like get it to like the next stage. So I don't think it's a killer to be anonymous, but I do agree that, especially after this experience, it's going to be a lot harder. And I'm with you. I mean, like did you see like the Fluff project, like huge
Yeah.
10x and a lot of people went up?
And then it dropped down, right? The floor
Yeah,
fell out.
it's back down to like point nine or something like that. But their team was like completely non-anonymous. Like they had, and their bios was like 10 years of like they were super transparent about who they were, and I think that definitely helps, you know what I mean? And people are like, okay, this is a legit team, because in some of the discourse I was in, that's what people were saying. They're like, yeah, I looked at the team, they look like real top notch, these are like industry veterans, and that's part of the way that people bought in. But I think that it's one of the beauties of the space that we're in, which is the market gets to decide. You know what I mean? The market gets to decide if projects can continue to be anon or not, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Zyphy Art said, on a serious note, being anon is super important. For a lot of us, maybe it's something you understand better as an artist thinking more long term. I'm completely with you. Like I think that there's a lot of artists out there that are like at least semi anonymous. You know what I mean? Like they'll show up to parties and you like know who they are, but they're not. They have their artist identity, and then there's artists that are like purely anon too. I think art is a little bit easier because art, like just pure play art is it's the art and the artist identity. Like you don't need to know the actual person if you're buying the art, as long as you can verify that they're not like stealing the art, and stuff like that. I think we had an issue on Nifty Gateway, right, with like some sort of drop back in March or something like that, and they used
What
art
was his
from
name?
someone else.
No vacancy or twisted vacancy.
Twisted vacancy. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one too, because it's not like it was like 100% plagiarized, but there definitely were elements that were plagiarized. I'm glad Zyphy said this,
Do we know
because
who like Hackatow is? Po, do you know?
I think Hackatow might be anon. Obviously, Xcopy's anon, Pack is anon. It's different for artists. So I'm actually really, really glad that Zyphy said this, and we can
Yeah.
kind of close on this and talk about this. Because let's say you're like a 60-year-old overweight guy that lives in New Jersey, and you're like bald and you wear glasses and you have like whatever. That's not necessarily who people are going to respond to for a physical image, but the art might be really stellar. And so then you sort of, the anon identity just allows you to create this artist identity. And then that person sticks with it. He's not making 20 new anon identities to continue to sell art. It's not a financial thing.
That's a great point right there. That's a great point there too, which is that you can be anon, and the longer that you're anon, then you're not really. There's a difference between an anon team that you have no idea who they are, anon team plus anon person, or an anon team that has or a person or an artist that has a strong body of work. Because then it gets to a point where it doesn't matter, right? So like, let's just completely make up an example. Let's say Bored Ape Yacht Club was an anonymous team. I don't even know. Yep. Are they anonymous or not? I'm not sure.
I was about to ask you, dude, if it was a fully anon team. I feel like it's not, but at the same time, I don't know. If someone in the chat wants to weigh in on this, any apes in the chat?
Yeah, so I would think that let's say Bored Ape Yacht Club team was anonymous, but they created anonymous identities, and then they went and created another project, right? People are probably going to ape into that because that's way different than it being a new anon person. You can look back at their previous body of work and say, oh, this is the same anon team behind Bored Ape Yacht Club.
But they're not anon anymore, right? Or you mean let's say they're 100% anon, and then their identities, they make another one.
Exactly. But they're the same identity. What I'm saying is, if it's once you develop a body of work, then
yeah, I mean, they basically went to zero, right? I think the floor for Fame Lady was like 0.1, and now it's like 0.01. So it's like a 90% capitulation overnight. Imagine if you were a whale in that project. Like, I don't know what fundamentals had you thinking it's appropriate to be a whale on that project. So that's the question that I have to ask to that person. But I don't doubt that there was someone out there that had 20 or 30 Fame Ladies, like minimum. There might have been people with more.
I remember looking at the OpenSeed activity last night and just seeing a wall of like people accepting offers. Really, who got hosed probably was the bots that place global offers. You know what I mean? Because they all got dumped on, and now the project's a complete rug. But that's the thing. That's the risk of NFTs. And that's why there's a lot of times really high upside in these things, right? Like if you think about anything out there, the more risk you take on, usually the more upside you're potentially getting. Like if you're on the stock market and you're buying and selling stocks versus if you're buying options, options are way more risky, but
100%.
options also have way more upside. NFT is on that spectrum of way more risky, but potentially way more upside. And so that's why things like risk management, diversification, all of these things matter. Like if you have a portfolio of 50 Ethereum and you had one Ethereum in FameLadySquad,
not the end of the world.
2% lost, right? But if you have 10 Ethereum and you had 5 Ethereum in FameLadySquad, that's a minus 50%. That really stings, you know? So this is why you got to be diversified. This is why like going all in on a project can be tough because, you know, I mean, yesterday literally I made a bet on Osiris and that's looking like a double, and I made a bet on the Sad Frog district, and that's like minus 50% for me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to come out break even. But if I had put it all in the Frog Squad or Frog District, I would have gotten wrecked yesterday. But at least now I'm walking away, you know, break even. So, and that's why I think that there's still more development that needs to happen in terms of education for like the people getting into the NFT community. I mean, because you and I come from the Nifty Gateway background, but a lot of people that are in the market now, they weren't there. They've never seen a bear market. They've never seen how brutal it can be.
They bought Bored Apes at 0.09 and they're like, this is the best shit ever.
Yeah, they're up 100x or, you know, 150x or something like that. And that's awesome. But yeah, like we Nifty Gateway, you remember the stories of I remember hearing about people that said I maxed out a 30 grand credit card on Nifty Gateway and I'm paying that off like still to this day now. You know, if we do see a pullback in the OpenSea NFT market, we're going to hear the same sad stories about people that were like up really big. So
I lost all my ETH.
Exactly. This is like a little bit of a digression from the Anon thing, but it's still like kind of like a core point, which is that, you know, the market needs to be like educated on like and eventually get to like the what people talk about on like the stock market or like poker. Like poker has like a huge depth of like strategy. Like if you have a poker cash flow or, you know, cash management of $100,000, you don't go enter a tournament for $50,000. That's the stupidest thing you could do. You know, like if you're playing online poker, you put max 1% of your budget into tournaments, you know, like, but there's no real talk about risk management in NFTs or like, you know, how people can get in and be smart. It's also tough for some people too, because if you're coming with $500, you don't have a lot of room to diversify. You kind of do have to just,
you know, you're paying gas, you're losing money on the fees. It's tough.
Exactly. And so if you got $500, like then yeah, you may just have to like throw it into a flyer and see if it works out for you and you know, build up the portfolio.
Yeah, and just one closing thought, like on the stocks, you see rug pulls in stocks and business too. So this isn't like a crypto native thing or an NFT native thing. I was about to say, what was that stupid Tesla competitor that I always knew was BS and people tried to tell me to buy? Dude, get out of here, bro. Nikola versus Elon Musk.
They pushed a truck downhill and recorded it and got a $2 billion market cap.
Unbelievable. And then there was that fire festival. That was a rug pull. That's not a stock. That's a business thing. That's
and neither of those people were anonymous. You know what I mean? And
it's crazy.
And now they're getting hit with fraud charges. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, if you think that you can be fraudulent in the NFT market, and think that you're safe just because you're anonymous, you know, the FBI is pretty smart. If they decide to come poking around here, you know, there will be some people that are going to get whacked. You know, for sure, and you know, get slapped with a fine or like you know something worse. So, yeah, I think this is just a good sober reminder. What's my number one rule, PO? Number one
never
rule:
fall in love, buddy.
Never fall in love. You know what I mean? So, if you did fall in love with one of these projects, it's just a good little lesson that, you know, you stay diversified, don't fall in love, be nimble. Like, look what you said, Pio. You went in and out of the project. I'm the same kind of guy. I go in and out of a lot of projects. So, you know, if one doesn't work out, like, who cares? Like,
Oh yeah, big time. And I went in and out of this project because I was this guy before. So don't be this guy, everybody. Don't be the guy that's just holding this bag. Let's go. You know this, Nick.
I lost $4,000 on those in 30 minutes. So this was I'm not even joking, it was so brutal. This was at the point, yeah, you know I will, Zyphy.
I know, I saw that.
This was the point in Nifty Gateway where literally I bought every single drop, and every single drop popped, because this was when like 888 would just come and plow through secondary. So if you like
Yeah.
minted anything, it was like a 3x. And then splims come out, and I literally bought one on the secondary market for like 2.2K.
Oh,
And then it was like I sold it for like $800 like 2 hours later, and got out still good, better than
yeah.
most. I thought
Yeah,
it was
like,
funny though. You know the one where the guy gets like slapped up, he like slaps the butt or whatever.
The Virgin or one of those, like
Oh,
that one.
that one was crazy. That was the first sign not to get into any NFT drawing on Nifty Gateway. Like,
Well, which one's the slap the butt? It's not the Virgin drop.
no, click Splim, and then
Click.
yeah, and then go to the insane critters.
Yeah, like Grinling or something.
Yes, you know he was purple. That scroll down a little bit more.
Romulus?
Scroll down a little bit more.
Zenith.
Zenith. That's what I lost 2.5K on.
The other thing is that this one had a high resell fee. I think the total resell fee on this is like 20%. So it's just impossible to make money on it, you know? So this is like something that teaches lessons to people that were getting in the NFT space, is like, you can't buy stuff that has a 20% resell fee. It's just completely impossible to make money on it.
And that's the thing too, is like, and we just showed like 4 examples of like things that we lost a ton of money on, and like none of them were anonymous. Like, you can lose a ton of money on an artist that's not anonymous. You can make a ton of money on an artist that is anonymous. So I'm still a believer that like anonymous isn't necessarily a deal breaker, but I do think more so now than ever, like the body of their work matters. So you need to be very sober and skeptical early on.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at body of work, look at these Micah Johnson pieces, the complete opposite, right? Trading at 2,300, bought it for 1,000. Trading at 2,400, bought it for 1,000. And the movie hasn't even come out yet. So just an example. I know we're kind of rambling at this point, but you gotta, do whatever kind of due diligence that you can do. Look into the project, look at the unique holders, look at the secondary volume, look at the founders of the project, and figure out if they are Anon, do they have a body of work behind them as Anon? And if they're going to claim to be 3 women and be like, this is the first all women project, but we're Anon. So you can look at my little JPEG of a woman. It's probably BS, even if Gary V apes into it. And props, Gary V is supporting the shit out of the space. He has the right to make mistakes. How the hell was he supposed to know? So that's the long and short of it.
And that's the thing. Like what you said really right there too, is that like a lot of people in this space, they don't have the time to do due diligence on things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily know who Mika Johnson is. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Anon, but
he's a
like
former professional baseball player. You can look him up, like playing pro baseball, so at least he's a person.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like I have bought projects not even looking into the person. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I know that what Gary V probably literally heard, like, this is an all-female team. I want to support that. That's what he thought.
Yeah.
He's busy as hell. He's working 16 hours a day, running multiple companies. He doesn't have the time to be like, hey, are these people legit? You know what I mean? But once again, a great lesson. And I know, like, in the crypto space, there's like teams that look for fraud and look for things that are like sketchy. We'll probably start to see more of that, whether they're news reporters or, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be much more closer lenses now on the space. And I think that's healthy.
Well, you're good at that. When you have time to do that, I see you doing it. You're a badass with the sleuthing.
Yeah. I mean, once again, at the end of the day, everything is on the blockchain. So like, even if you can't trace it all the way back to someone, like, it's, you're going to watch it go through a sketchy exchange, or you're going to watch it go through Tornado Cash, and then that's your red flag at the end of the day. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're in. I like to tell people NFTs, crypto, it's the Wild West. You know what I mean? It's the Wild West. You make one mistake, you send 10 ETH to the wrong address, it's gone forever. You put 5 ETH into a project that's a rug pull, it's gone forever. We're in the Wild West. If bandits come into your town and they rob your bank, you're out of luck. You know what I mean? No one's coming to get that money back for you. So, understanding that, just being careful and staying diversified, I think is important.
Absolutely. So we're going to drop. I think that we should have said, I don't know how we just went a full hour almost. I just want to say World of Women is legit. It's a female artist. They came on the show. Most of the team is non-Anon. The only Anon folks are like developers and stuff that just want to be Anon, like in a more wholesome way. And the people, never financial advice, but the people that are making the World of Women project are definitely solid people. And I'll put out a tweet following up about this so that everyone kind of knows, because I think it's a little ridiculous that we didn't talk about World of Women yet. But thanks for watching, everyone. Nick's going to be back on talking crypto raiders. Follow Nick on Twitter at Speculator Art. He's always dropping really good insights and also doing some sleuthing when he can and uncovering some of this bogus bullshit that pops up. And everyone, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for supporting. We'll see you guys next time.